even that one has been ruined because they took this one and they collapsed it down because people weren't buying this because they wanted it to look like that with 2 columns. I'm grateful for this Bible because 2 columns is impossible to use a study Bible too. It's very difficult. You can't write stuff in. It's very difficult. But anyway, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just trying to help you if you're really seriously interested in this subject to do work in it. In any case, if you do, go to a used bookstore someplace and find a Bible that lays it all out across the page with plenty of space that you can mark it up and make some notes and do that kind of thing. You can call attention to things that you need to call attention to. What about there's no interest in who the wives were. Yes, you call it male chauvinist if you prefer, if you think that's what it is. But I'm sure most ancient cultures were like this in those days. There's very big lifespans. The person writing this is a know-it-all. He likes to give you data, precise data, like he makes believe that he knows how old Adam was when he became a father, 130 years. And now he wants to make believe he knows how long he lived, 800 years after the birth of Seth. And although he lived for 930 years, this is a person who likes to throw figures at you. He wants to awe you, wants to impress you. Oh, you mean these aren't the real figures? No, I doubt it. We don't even know if Adam really existed. Forget the real figures. This same person is going to tell you how big Noah's Ark is. He's going to give you the whole dimensions. He's a big show-off. And he wants to awe you with his knowledge so that you feel inferior. And I think probably in the world in which these people live, they succeeded. This is how you awe. I don't like to say it, stupid people. You make them feel like, oh my God, look what that person knows. I don't know anything. That person knows even the ages of the ancestors 30 generations ago. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And again, you see, the Word of God people would crucify me if you want to call it that. But, you know, the problem that we're dealing with here is that this is, you know, talking about the Word of God is, I told you from the beginning, putting too much on the text and the text itself can bear without becoming ridiculous. The text is not ridiculous. The text is an impressive text, a very impressive cultural document. But if you try to make it into more than it is, you could say it's, you know, inspiring. It has the Word of God in it in terms of telling people how they should live in the history of the world. But to think that every word in it has to do is the Word of God, I think you're just pushing it. You're pushing the envelope way too far. And of course, then, how would you account for this? God doesn't make mistakes, does He? Not in most people's view. It's not a mistake. It's just 2 different oral lines that have been spliced together because the editors didn't want to lose anything. They didn't sit down and say, well, look, this is a little bit jumbled. We got Methuselah healed. Oh, yeah, that's right, you know, but one's supposed to be from Seth, the other's supposed to be from Cain. You know, it's 2 different text lines. One you always, what else? That's the best explanation. If you have a better one, it'd be great to know it, but I don't know a better one, and if I did, I would tell it to you. Anyway, what about these years? Are these something that we can know where he got them from? Some people say, oh, this is the months that they lived, not the years. Okay, if that helps you, fine. I don't have an explanation. Again, it's meant to awe you. It's the only explanation that I have. It's meant to overwhelm you, awe you, impress you with the knowledge. And of course, that these were superhuman beings in the early part of time. They lived forever. Maybe it was supposed to be months and not years, and that may be. But notice, I think, as time goes on, the number of years is beginning to go down. because we're going to get down to the normal human lifespan, which isn't even normal for that, which for Abraham, I think it's going to be, what, 120 years or something? Moses or somebody. We're going to come down to what's a normal lifespan. We've got to get down from 900 years down to 120 years or so. An interesting character in the, I don't want to read this whole thing here, but that became the father of sons and daughters, then he died, except for the numbers, it's always the same. Repetitious ceremony. Enoch is an interesting figure, line 21. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God. That fascinated the ancients. What did it mean that Enoch walked with God? See, Enoch in the other genealogy, he's a towns builder, but here he's a different sort of person. He comes later in the genealogy. He's similar to, has the place that I think, well, in any case, I don't know what you would say his place was in the previous genealogy. But he walked with God, and see, he lives for 365 years, which is a curious date. It's an astral date of the number of days in the year. That may tell you something. What it tells you, I don't know, except that people have associated Enoch with some astral situation. He walked with God as repeated, and then he vanished. God took him up. See, that's really a mysterious character. So later on in the Second Temple period, where a lot of literature was written, there's even books written in Enoch's name. Why? Because Enoch was someone who supposedly went to heaven and visited God and knew all about the heaven in these places. At least that was what the writers were playing off of, who wrote books in Enoch's name. So we have the book of Enoch in the 200 BC period. It's a very famous book. So Enoch lives an astral number of years, whatever that means, and he also goes up to heaven or God or wherever and disappears. So he's an actual precursor of Jesus in a way. Jesus goes up to God and never came back, as far as we know. Okay. When Lamech was 118 years old, he became the father of a son. He gave the, now we're getting into more detail here. Line 29. And he calls him Noah because he's going to comfort us. Is Noah in the other storyline? Not yet. The other storyline ended with Lamech